Imagine a studio, right, spending like 500 crore rupees on a cinematic masterpiece.
Oh, it happens all the time these
Yeah,
days.
exactly. They hire the biggest stars, they build these sprawling, massive physical sets, and they launch a marketing campaign that covers literally every billboard in the country.
And then they just hold their breath.
Right. And then they watch the entire project get absolutely rejected on opening day just because the audience didn't like the visual effects on a single character's face.
It sounds like total hyperbole, but I mean, it is the terrifying, very real tightrope that Indian cinema is walking right now.
Yeah.
The power dynamics have completely inverted.
Right. Usually when we look at the entertainment industry, we picture this very static, almost glamorous mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You have the superstars in the mega studios at the very peak, carving out the paths, and the audience is just sort of standing at the very bottom, taking whatever is handed down to them.
Like a one-way street.
Exactly. But looking at the landscape today, that mountain isn't just shifting. We are watching active tectonic plates colliding in real time, rewriting all the rules of what gets made and, well, who actually gets to make it.
It's a total structural collapse and rebuild.
It really is. So welcome to the deep dive. We are so thrilled to have you with us today. Whether you are, prepping for a big meeting, commuting, or you're just a fellow learner who's insanely curious about how the world of pop culture actually operates under the hood, you are in the exact right place.
We really are.
We have a massive stack of updates from IndiaRevue sitting right here between us. And there's nothing quite like the thrill of diving into a fresh stack of sources, is there?
Oh, it is the absolute best feeling. I've been going through these notes all morning, and the connective tissue between these seemingly disparate headlines is just fascinating.
So good.
It's a really great day to be diving into this material with you.
So what is the mission of this deep dive today? We are mapping those shifting tectonic plates of Indian cinema and pop culture. We aren't just going to read you a list of what's releasing at the box office this weekend. We are looking at how the industry is fundamentally transforming from the inside out.
The mechanics of it.
Exactly. We are pulling from a truly eclectic mix of materials today. Everything from a cinematic flashback to a 1961 classic to record-breaking advanced ticket sales to incredibly deep-seated cultural debates on item numbers and even some very raw, heartfelt moments of celebrity vulnerability. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with the economics, because the box office data we're looking at is telling a very unexpected, almost, well, a counterintuitive story.
How so?
Well, for decades, the Indian box office has operated on a very top-heavy model. Historically, studios relied on what economists call the Pareto principle.
The 80-20 rule, right?
Exactly. The idea that roughly 80% of the yearly revenue came from just 20% of the mega blockbuster films.
What?
The top 10 films took the lion's share, leaving absolute crumbs for everyone else. But the latest trade analysis from our sources shows that the top 10 films' share of the total revenue is actually dropping significantly.
Wait, hold on. If the top 10 biggest films of the year are making less of the total pie, my immediate instinct is to say the industry is failing.
It makes sense to think that.
Right. Like, if the tent poles are collapsing, isn't the whole circus tent coming down?
That is the logical assumption, yeah, but the data shows it's exactly the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, the overall theatrical recovery is incredibly robust. What this data actually indicates is the massive resurgence of the long tail.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly do we mean by the long tail in this context?
So the long tail is an economic concept that describes a shift away from a small number of mainstream hit products at the head of the demand curve and toward a huge number of niches in the tail. Instead of all the money being concentrated at the very top with 4 or 5 superstars, that revenue is spreading out. It's trickling down across a massive variety of diverse, smaller, regional, and independent films.
So they aren't making huge numbers individually.
Right, they might not make 500 crores individually, but collectively they're finding incredibly robust theatrical lives and adding up to rival that blockbuster revenue.
I see. So the old box office was essentially like a monopoly board.
Oh, I like that.
You had a few massive players owning all the prime real estate, the holiday release dates, the massive screen counts, and everyone else was just hoping to land on free parking and survive the weekend.
Literally just trying to survive.
But now it is transformed into this bustling, diverse farmers market. Audiences don't just want the mass-produced goods from the conglomerate anymore. They are actively walking past the big superstore to seek out artisanal, varied, hyper-local stories.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it. And the numbers back up your farmer's market theory completely. Look at the Punjabi film Ishq Leke.
Oh, the one starring Gurnam Bhullar.
Yes. Now, mechanically, a film makes its biggest money on opening weekend. That is when the studio's massive marketing spend pays off.
Obviously.
Usually you see a steep drop-off by weekend, too, because the marketing budget has dried up and the initial hype is gone. But Ishq Leke jumped 85% in its second weekend.
An 85% increase. That completely defies standard box office gravity.
It really does.
How does a movie almost double its audience when the studio isn't pumping money into ads anymore?
It entirely defies gravity, and it only happens through pure, organic, peer-to-peer word of mouth. The audience becomes the marketing department.
Wow.
It hit a 9 crore total in just 10 days. When a viewer trusts a film enough to personally recommend it to their family and friends, that recommendation carries 10 times the conversion weight of a billboard.
That makes total sense.
And it's not just regional commercial cinema that's thriving in this long tail. Look at the Manipuri film boom. It just won a BAFTA.
A BAFTA for a Manipuri film. That is a monumental milestone.
Yeah.
But how does a small regional film break through the sheer noise of global cinema to catch the attention of the British Academy?
It comes down to universal thematic resonance combined with, honestly, elite craftsmanship. The producers of the film, Vikesh Bhutani and Shujat Sadagar, gave a fascinating interview in our sources where they talked about this exact challenge.
What does they say?
They emphasized that their craft choices were specifically designed to travel beyond language barriers. Boom is described as an utterly charming tale of love and tolerance. They focused on universal human truths.
Right. The stuff that connects us all.
Exactly. When the emotional core is that strong, and the technical craft, the cinematography, the editing, the sound design is impeccable, it doesn't matter if the voting body doesn't speak Manipuri. The film resonates on a global stage because human emotion is the ultimate universal language.
Which just proves that a story doesn't need an astronomical budget to leave a massive footprint.
Not at all.
But let's be real, it is not always a glamorous BAFTA-winning path to get there. We also have this incredibly grounded piece in our sources about a Nukkad Natak team, a grassroots street play theater group.
Yeah, that was a tough read.
They're trying to transition to the OTT streaming space, and they were incredibly candid about their struggles. They're dealing with severely limited budgets, gatekeepers who just don't understand their vision, and a sheer lack of resources.
But they keep going.
Exactly. They have this unwavering commitment to meaningful, socially relevant cinema.
And that's the beautiful, difficult tension of the long-tail economy. Grassroots storytelling, like what the Nukkad Natak team is fighting to create, or the regional triumph of a film like Boom, these are no longer fringe elements of the industry that we can just ignore.
They're essential now.
Right. They are becoming central to its creative survival. Audiences are fundamentally hungry for variety.
I want you, the listener, to think about your own viewing habits over the last year. Are you venturing beyond the big, heavily marketed blockbusters more often now?
Probably, yeah.
Are you giving that indie film or that regional drama with subtitles a chance on a Friday night? Because collectively, your individual choices to hit play on something different are exactly what is reshaping the entire financial structure of Indian storytelling.
But, while the independent and regional films are thriving and building that robust long tail, we have to acknowledge that the mega blockbusters are not just rolling over and accepting a smaller piece of the pie.
No way. They'd never do that.
They're evolving their strategies aggressively to maintain their dominance.
Oh, absolutely. The event cinema juggernaut is very much alive, and it is weaponizing every tool at its disposal. Which brings us perfectly to our next major shift. Let's talk about the absolute logistical madness surrounding the release of Dhurandhar 2.
Oh, the Ranveer Singh starer.
Yeah.
The advanced booking numbers we are looking at are simply staggering. Over 6.25 lakh tickets were sold for its March 19th release date before the film even opened.
That is insane.
It's completely dominating the major metropolitan markets of Delhi, NCR, and Mumbai. It is poised to challenge all-time opening records.
And the studios aren't just cashing those ticket sales, right? They are leveraging that massive guaranteed footfall. The sources note they are officially attaching the trailer for Ek Din to the theatrical prints of Dhurandhar 2.
It's a very smart move.
Walk me through the mechanics of that. Why not just drop the trailer on YouTube and let the algorithm do the work?
Because the algorithm is fickle, but a captive audience in a dark room is absolute gold. It's synergistic marketing at its finest. You have an audience of hundreds of thousands of people who have already proven they are willing to spend money on a theatrical experience. They are your most valuable demographic.
Right, they actually buy tickets.
Exactly. By forcing them to watch the trailer for your next big project on a 50-foot screen with stadium sound, you are serving them the appetizer for their next purchase while they are literally sitting in your restaurant.
It's brilliant. But what I find even more fascinating than the marketing logistics is the thematic shift we are seeing in these massive films.
Yeah, the themes are definitely changing.
The trade analysts in our sources are heavily debating how films like Durandar: The Revenge are fundamentally reshaping the concept of nationalistic cinema in India.
That is a really crucial observation. Historically, nationalistic cinema in Bollywood relied on very overt, highly emotional patriotism, often centered around specific historical figures or very localized conflicts.
Very hard on your sleeve stuff.
Exactly. But the analysts are pointing out that the current wave of event cinema is leaning heavily into complex geopolitical narratives. It's less about raw, tear-jerking emotion and more about global strategy, international espionage, and modern warfare framing.
But let me be a little cynical for a second. Are these studios actually interested in exploring complex geopolitical narratives? Or are they just looking at the global box office receipts of massive action franchises and realizing that slapping geopolitical buzzwords onto a script is the easiest way to justify a massive budget?
That's the big question.
Look at Salman Khan's upcoming war drama, directed by Apoorva Lakhia. The sources say it was originally titled Battle of Galwan, tying it to a very specific recent border conflict. But they have officially renamed it Mathrubhumi.
And the fans are already eating it up online.
Right. Paijan always on top, they're saying.
It's a valid skepticism to have. Now, looking at this strictly objectively based on the reporting, this shift from a highly specific, potentially polarizing historical event like Galwan to a broader, more encompassing title like Mathrubhumi, which translates to motherland, shows an industry testing the waters of these geopolitical themes while trying to maximize their commercial appeal.
So they're hedging their bets.
Exactly. The studios are recognizing the sheer box office power of these narratives. They are capturing the zeitgeist of what the audience is interested in right now, but utilizing these broad themes as a strategic commercial choice.
Right, to ensure the widest possible audience doesn't feel alienated before they even buy a ticket. We're strictly looking at the business strategy here, not endorsing any political side of the conflicts themselves.
Precisely. It's about risk management at a massive scale.
So if these 500 crore geopolitical epics are one strategy to dominate the box office, the other strategy is leaning into deeply ingrained cultural reverence.
The mythological spectacles.
Yes, the return of the ultimate mythological spectacles. Nitish Tiwari's upcoming adaptation of the Ramayana is completely dominating the news cycle. We already know Ranbir Kapoor, Sai Pallavi, and Yash are headlining it. But the latest casting news from the sources, they brought in Faisal Malik to play Kumkaran.
Which is such a brilliant, unexpected piece of casting.
Right.
For those who know Faisal Malik primarily as the sweet, deeply heartbroken Prahlad from the rural comedy drama series Panchayat, seeing him step into the role of a mythological giant like Kumkaran is a massive paradigm shift.
It totally breaks the mold. I mean, mechanically, how do you usually cast Kumkaran?
You usually just find a former professional wrestler.
Exactly. Or just the tallest, most physically imposing guy you can put in a costume, and his whole job is to just look intimidating. Casting an actor known for such deep, vulnerable, intensely human, slice-of-life performances tells me that Nitish Tiwari isn't just making a VFX monster movie.
Definitely not.
They are going for serious emotional depth and psychological nuance with this adaptation.
And they absolutely have to get it right, because the pressure of adapting mythology in India right now is unparalleled. This brings us to a very crucial comment in our sources from Arun Govill.
Oh, this was fascinating.
Yeah. Now, for context for the listener, Arun Govill is arguably the most iconic face of Lord Ram on Indian television, having played him in the legendary 1980s serial.
Everyone knows his face.
Right. He came out and specifically cautioned against comparing this new theatrical Ramayana with the recent heavily criticized film Adipurush. But the phrase he used to explain the pressure was fascinating. He stressed the absolute need for what he called visual sanctity.
Visual sanctity. That is a heavy, incredibly loaded phrase. It goes right back to the scenario I mentioned at the top of the show.
It does.
So here's where it gets really interesting. With these massive budgets and these deeply reviewed stories, are these films becoming too big to fail? Or are they actually walking a terrifyingly thin tightrope where one wrong visual choice, A bad CGI crown, a modern haircut, a poorly designed weapon alienates the entire audience in an instant, just like we saw happen with Ida Purush.
It is undoubtedly the tightrope. When Aaron Govel talks about visual sanctity, he's talking about the fact that these aren't just fictional characters to the audience, they are deities.
They are literal gods.
Exactly. They are foundational figures of faith. The audience already holds a pre-existing, deeply personal, and highly specific image of them in their minds, cultivated over generations of art, literature, and television.
You can't just mess with that.
No. If your VFX, your costuming, or your production design disrespects or alters that internal image too radically, the audience will reject the film outright as a personal offense. It does not matter if you spent 600 crores on the production. The visual representation itself is considered sacred.
The pressure on the directors and the actors to deliver on that specific expectation is just immense. If you miss the mark, your career takes a massive hit.
It's a huge risk.
Which actually creates a really interesting pivot because the industry is realizing that relying solely on these massive high-risk spectacles is dangerous. The way the industry values, manages, and compensates its talent is completely turning upside down to mitigate these risks.
We are seeing the currency of stardom entirely decentralized.
Yes.
Let's look at the profound impact the music industry is having on the theatrical box office. According to the trade reports in our stack, composer Anirudh Ravichandar is reportedly getting a record-breaking fee of 25 crore rupees for Allu Arjun's upcoming film AA23, directed by Lokesh Kanagaraj.
Okay, stop right there. 25 crore rupees.
And
For
yeah.
a music composer.
It's staggering.
Walk me through the math there, because that is superstar money. That is leading man money in a lot of regional industries. How does a studio justify handing a composer that kind of check?
It potentially makes him the highest paid composer in the history of the Indian film industry. But mathematically, it makes perfect sense when you look at the return on investment.
How so?
Anirudh isn't just sitting in a studio making background scores that play underneath the dialogue. He is creating the primary adrenaline for these massive action entertainers. His music is a quantifiable box office draw.
So you're saying people are buying tickets specifically for the audio experience?
Exactly. The studio knows that an Anirudh album will generate hundreds of millions of streams on platforms like Spotify and Apple Music before the film even releases, which recoups a massive chunk of the budget through audio rights alone.
Oh, that's smart.
Furthermore, audiences will actively choose to buy a more expensive ticket at a theater equipped with a Dolby Atmos specifically to experience his heavy bass and dynamic score in a premium format.
Wow, so he's driving premium sales.
He is driving premium ticket sales. He is as much a star of the film and as crucial to its financial architecture as the lead actor holding the gun on the poster.
That is fascinating. So the definition of what brings an audience to the theater is expanding. And while the composers are getting leading man money for the theatrical experience, the versatile character actors are becoming the absolute, undeniable backbone of the streaming era.
Oh, without a doubt.
Let's talk about Abhishek Banerjee. He just received a double nomination at the Critics' Choice Awards. He was nominated for Best Actor for the film Stolen and simultaneously nominated for Best Writing for his work on Pedalok Season 2.
The sheer versatility there is astounding. To be operating at an award-winning level in front of the camera and inside the writer's room simultaneously is incredibly rare.
And his upcoming slate is just jam-packed. He's officially attached to Lust Stories 3, Toaster, Legacy Section 84, and Side Heroes.
He's everywhere.
He was quoted in the sources saying the nominations give him a lot of confidence. But to me, looking at the industry at large, it shows that the definition of a star is fundamentally changing.
How do you mean?
Well, the audience doesn't just want a handsome face to stare at for 2 hours anymore. They want a chameleon. They want someone who can completely disappear into a complex, morally gray role.
And we see that exact same sentiment and praise being heaped onto Vineet Kumar Singh.
Oh, absolutely.
His new series, Hello Bashan, just debuted on Netflix. And industry heavyweights, we were talking, actors like Manoj Bajpayee and Randeep Hooda are publicly taking to social media to root for him and praise his performance.
That's huge validation.
The streaming platforms are recognizing that these highly nuanced, deeply authentic performers are the ones that actually keeping subscribers glued to their screens for 8-hour binges. You can't sustain an 8-episode series on pure glamour. You need actors who can carry the narrative weight.
But the major studios aren't just sitting back, watching this shift and letting this talent operate independently. They are aggressively moving to own the supply chain.
Oh, they definitely are.
Look at the news from Ekta Kapoor's Balaji Telefilms. They just launched a brand new talent management company called Uner, They threw a massive launch event with stars like Shilpa Shetty, Huma Qureshi, and Sargon Mehta mingling and showing their support.
It was quite the event.
But I look at this, and I don't just see a party. I see a massive, calculated business strategy. The studios are vertically integrating.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a brilliant and somewhat ruthless shift in power. Explain how that vertical integration works in this context.
Well, it's like a sports farm league system.
Yeah.
Studios used to be like luxury car dealerships. They just sold the finished product.
Yeah.
They would hire an independent actor, pay their fee, make the movie, and that was it. Now, they want to own the rubber plantations and the steel mills too. By launching Honor, a studio like Balaji isn't content just producing the content anymore. By owning the talent management pipeline, they are scouting and incubating the writers, the directors, and the actors from day one.
They get them early.
They control the ecosystem. They find the next Abhishek Banerjee. They manage his career. They take a percentage of his earnings. And they have first dibs on casting him in their own productions at a potentially controlled rate.
They are essentially mitigating their risk by controlling the cost of the raw materials, the talent, before they ever reach the screen.
Exactly.
And this broader discussion of cinema's economic influence and the profound responsibility of the artists within it was actually the center of a recent roundtable we have in our notes. Sanjay Kapoor, Nana Patekar, and Prakash Shah sat down to discuss their upcoming project Sankalp. And they didn't just talk about the plot. They really dug into cinema's social influence, its intersection with politics, and how the landscape of the film industry is demanding more authenticity and awareness from its participants than ever before.
But, with this intense spotlight on talent and the audience demanding constant authenticity and access to their lives comes a really dark, often unspoken flip side.
The scrutiny.
Yeah, there is an intense, unyielding scrutiny of these artists' off-screen lives, and the boundaries they have to navigate on a daily basis are becoming incredibly blurred.
The human cost of Bollywood is something that often gets glossed over by the flashing cameras and the box office numbers, but the sources today paint a very vivid, very sobering picture of the emotional toll it takes.
They really do.
Let's look at the segment on Karan Johar. He is arguably one of the most powerful, influential filmmakers and producers in the country. He has built an empire and seems completely bulletproof to criticism.
You'd think nothing bothers him.
But he recently opened up in an interview and recalled a specific moment that broke him down in tears.
This was genuinely heartbreaking to read. A troll on social media left a comment accusing him of denying his children a mother.
Just awful.
They were directly referring to his twins, Yash and Ruhi, who were born via surrogacy. And Karan didn't fire back with anger. He just openly, vulnerably asked the troll, "Are you happy?" regarding the deeply hurtful nature of the comment.
It highlights a vicious reality of modern fame. The anonymity of the internet has completely weaponized the public's access to public figures.
It's beyond critique now.
Right. Trolling isn't just a critique of a director's film or an actor's performance anymore. It has devolved into deeply personal, psychological attacks on their fundamental right to parent, the structure of their families, and their core identities.
We demand constant access to these stars. We want the behind-the-scenes videos. We want the home tours. We want the baby pictures on Instagram. But my question to you, the listener, is this. When does our fandom cross the line into emotional trespassing?
That's a great way to put it.
Where is the boundary between being a fan of someone's work and feeling entitled to just dissect their private life?
It's a boundary the celebrities are constantly trying to negotiate, and we are seeing them do it by aggressively reclaiming their own narratives.
They're taking back the control.
Exactly. Contrast the cruelty Karan faced with the joyful milestones other actors are actively choosing to share to control their image. Janelia Deshmukh, for example, has been sharing these incredibly tender, unvarnished moments of motherhood on her platforms.
Yes, the video and the sources where her young son, Rahel, is just asking her to sit with him while he plays with Legos. It's so simple.
Very relatable.
And another clip of him gently comforting their dog, Flash, who was feeling unwell. It's so sweet and normal.
It is sweet, but from a PR perspective, it's also a definitive statement. She is choosing to center her public identity entirely around her family and her motherhood. By voluntarily providing these wholesome glimpses, she is controlling what the public sees of her private life, focusing the narrative entirely on warmth, dedication, and normalcy, which acts as a shield against the kind of toxic speculation others face.
And we are seeing that narrative control happening in real time,
Yeah.
actively shifting cultural norms. with Priyanka Chopra and Raghav Chadha.
Oh, yes.
The sources note that Priyanka has officially resumed her intense work commitments, and she joyfully shared online that her husband, Raghav, who is a prominent politician, is currently on papa duty, caring for their baby Near.
Which is a brilliant example of how celebrities can subtly shift societal expectations.
Right.
By casually showcasing modern co-parenting to millions of followers, where the mother returns to her demanding career and the father takes on primary hands-on childcare duties, they are normalizing shifting gender roles in real time.
Just by living their lives.
Exactly. They aren't writing a heavy-handed political manifesto. They're just living their modern reality publicly, and that visibility changes how everyday people view domestic responsibilities.
I love observing that kind of soft influence. And speaking of living joyfully and authentically in the public eye, Rashmika Mandanna and Vijay Deverakonda finally revealed the moments from their dreamy Udaipur Haldi ceremony.
The fans were waiting for that.
The notes detail how they specifically honored both Telugu and Kodava traditions. It had this incredibly vibrant, holy-like atmosphere. It's the culmination of this long-standing, heavily scrutinized relationship that fans have been obsessed with for years, and they finally shared it on their own terms.
And similarly, we see actress Sanya Malhotra moving into her absolute dream home. She posted pictures of the traditional housewarming ceremony, dressed in a beautiful pink sari, and she captioned it calling the house a little piece of my journey.
Good for her.
She is inviting the audience to celebrate a massive personal victory that she earned through her craft.
It really is a complex tapestry of human experiences. We even have this funny, lighthearted moment in the notes from a recent concert in Bengaluru. Punjabi singer Talwinder was performing, and the crowd, who obviously keeps up with the digital gossip columns, started chanting actress Disha Patani's name to tease him amid ongoing dating rumors.
And he handled it so well.
He did. Instead of getting defensive or having security step in, he just blushed, smiled, and leaned into the joke.
Let's define what's happening there mechanically. It's a perfect example of a parasocial relationship at work.
Explain parasocial for the listener who might not know the term.
A parasocial relationship is a one-sided psychological bond where an audience member feels a deep, personal connection to a media figure they have never actually met.
Okay, so it feels like friendship, but it's not.
Right. Because they consume his music and watch his interviews, the audience in that Bengaluru crowd feels like they know Talwinder well enough to playfully tease him about his dating life, exactly like a group of friends would do at a bar.
Right. But it is a terrifyingly thin tightrope walk between an audience playfully teasing a singer at a concert and an audience member launching a cruel targeted attack on a filmmaker's children.
Very thin.
And this discussion of crossing lines and pushing boundaries off-screen leads us directly into a massive, fiery debate happening right now about crossing lines on screen and on stage.
The theme of accountability is tearing through the entertainment industry right now like wildfire. The audience is aggressively negotiating what is morally and artistically acceptable, and the digital blowback is immediate and severe.
Let's start with the music video that is blowing up the internet for all the wrong reasons. The song Sarke Chunar Teri Sark from the upcoming film Katie the Devil.
This was a huge controversy.
It features veteran actor Sanjay Dutt and dancer Nora Fatehi, and it's directed by Prem. The promotional video dropped, and the internet practically broke with the sheer volume of backlash.
Maintaining strict impartiality and just reporting the facts of the discourse, the intense criticism centers heavily on the lyrics and the specific choreography.
What's the specific issue?
Well, Nora Fatehi is depicted dancing in a crowded bar setting surrounded by men, and there is a specific repeated choreographic move involving the intentional dropping and picking up of her palu. The overwhelming online consensus from a large, highly vocal segment of viewers is that the imagery is excessively vulgar and objectifying.
People are leaving furious comments saying it has crossed all limits of decency, calling the lyrics trashy, double entendres. And there are even active organized calls for the Central Board of Film Certification, the CBFC, to step in, intervene, and censor the sequence.
They want it pulled.
Yeah. Fans of the director, Prem, who is usually known for different sensibilities, are publicly stating on forums that they're going to disown his work over this single creative choice.
Now, looking at this objectively, this controversy has sparked a really fascinating, deeply layered cultural debate.
How so?
While one side is aggressively calling for censorship based on moral grounds, a significant portion of fans, particularly from the Bajpayee audience demographic, have rushed to defend the song and the choreography.
Oh, really?
Yes. They are arguing that this specific style of music, the playful double entendre lyrics, and this exact type of choreography is completely standard, accepted, and celebrated within their regional entertainment ecosystem.
Yes, I was reading the comments, and one of the critics actually phrased it as Bollywood's Bhoj purification is complete, and they were clearly using that term as a derogatory insult.
Exactly.
But the defenders are firing back saying, why is it an insult? Why is it vulgar when we do it, but artistic when a Western pop star does it? This is our cultural aesthetic finally finding a massive mainstream platform. It is a massive, incredibly complex tug-of-war over cultural aesthetics, regional bias, and inherent classism in mainstream cinema.
This raises an important question. Whose moral and cultural standard are we actually using to judge what is acceptable in mainstream art?
That's the core issue.
Is it the metropolitan elite or the heartland masses? But while that is a subjective debate over artistic expression and cultural clash, we also have an incident in our stack this week where the line crossed entirely from artistic debate into undeniable physical danger.
Yes, the Dhananjay Sharma incident. He is a well-known Bhojpuri singer, and a video went completely viral from a live stage performance.
It was shocking.
In the middle of the show, seemingly without warning, he literally lifts up a female background dancer and physically tosses her off the stage into the crowd.
The outrage on social media has been severe, and rightfully so. While the exact context or the lead-up to the performance is still being debated online, the visual evidence of treating a female performer's physical safety with such blatant disregard has caused a massive wave of condemnation regarding the working conditions of background artists.
It's horrifying to watch. You can't justify physical endangerment as performance art, and it ties directly into a much broader ongoing reckoning regarding gender, safety, and deeply entrenched power dynamics across all the regional industries.
It really does.
Over in Tamil cinema, singer and voice artist Chinmayi Sripada is back in the headlines. She has been boldly and consistently challenging the entrenched gender power structures for years, and she is specifically speaking out again in the wake of veteran lyricist Vairamuthu receiving the prestigious Jnanpith accolade.
For context, the Jnanpith is the oldest and highest Indian literary award presented annually by the Bharatiya Jnanpith to an author for their outstanding contribution towards literature.
Right.
Impartially reporting on the timeline of events here, Chinmayi Sripada has been a leading, highly visible voice in the Me Too movement in the South Indian film industry, and she has faced immense documented professional backlash and boycotts for her stance.
She lost a lot of work over it.
Her continuing to speak out, specifically amidst top-tier national honors being given to figures she is publicly accused of misconduct, highlights the deep, profoundly unresolved tensions regarding accountability, belief, and systemic power in the industry.
The audience is watching all of this play out in real time on their phones. So what does this all mean mechanically? It's like the audience has decided to act as a real-time, highly aggressive HR department for the entire entertainment industry.
That's exactly what it feels like.
They are calling out power dynamics everywhere they see them, whether it's a singer throwing a dancer off a stage, a veteran lyricist receiving a literary award, or a director putting a dropped pillow in a music video. They are demanding accountability across the board.
But this raises a vital, almost philosophical question. Who actually sets the boundaries and enforces the rules in cinema today? Is it the formal government bodies like the CBFC? Is it the studios who hold the purse strings? Or is it the collective, decentralized outrage of the internet? Because while that public outrage can be harnessed for good, to protect vulnerable artists and call out abuse, it can also be incredibly chaotic, context-free, and easily manipulated. Look at the mechanics of reality TV.
Oh, reality TV doesn't just navigate those boundaries, it thrives on intentionally pushing them into the red zone for ratings.
It's the whole business model.
We saw Chandrika Dixit, widely known as the Vedapav girl from Big Boss OTT Season 3, spark a massive debate this week. She made a highly controversial statement on the show, saying she would go to extreme lengths to provide for her family, specifically quoting that she would sleep with anyone if needed to raise her child.
And the internet reacted exactly how the reality TV producers mathematically calculated they would with explosive algorithmic debate.
Of course.
Some viewers fiercely condemned the statement as highly inappropriate and degrading for a public broadcasting platform, while others vigorously debated the desperate raw lengths of maternal sacrifice and poverty. It is the ultimate blurring of private morality and public entertainment packaged specifically to farm engagement.
You know, if you are listening to this on your commute right now, You might be rolling your eyes thinking this is just cheap, trashy reality TV drama that doesn't matter. But economically, this outrage cycle is exactly what funds the bigger platforms.
It pays the bills.
Everything is content, and everything is scrutinized under a microscope. Even a split-second unspoken interaction is analyzed like the Zapruder film. Look at the viral video of actress Sreeleela at the Ustad Bhagat Singh pre-release event.
Oh, the stare.
Yes. A fan camera catches her simply turning around and giving actor Mahesh Chanta what the internet immediately, collectively dubbed a cold stare.
A completely out of context 2-second micro-expression becomes a multi-day monetized news cycle. The internet dissects their professional relationship, invents elaborate narratives of disrespect and on-set feuds, and suddenly, a blank look is a major industry controversy that their PR teams have to actively manage.
It must be absolutely exhausting for the artists, but also for the media trying to cover them legitimately. Actually, one of our sources is a deeply reflective piece by a film journalist who unpacked their own increasingly difficult Bollywood interview experiences.
That piece was really revealing.
They talked about the evolving dynamics from the 90s to today. They detailed the suffocating PR control, where publicists demand questions in advance and monitor every word, and how they're actually changing their channel choices and avoiding certain junkets because the ecosystem of access has become so manicured, fraught, and tense that genuine journalism is almost impossible.
The transition from the era of access journalism, where reporters hung out on sets with stars, to today's highly sterile, algorithm-driven PR machines is stark.
It's a completely different world.
Amidst all of these growing pains, these intense cultural shifts, and the constant deafening digital noise we just unpacked, it is so vital to step back and look at the enduring legacies that actually built the foundation of this industry. How did we get here? And what remains permanent when the trending hashtags fade?
Which is exactly why I look forward to the fact that IndiaRevue always includes these incredible, grounding historical flashbacks in their updates.
Let's take a collective breath, step away from the internet outrage, and travel back to 1961. We have a deep dive in the notes on the classic romantic thriller Passport. Directed by the visionary Pramod Chakravorty, starring the legendary Devanand and the absolutely incomparable Madhubala.
Now, we usually picture Madhubala in these tragic, ethereal, deeply romantic roles. But in Passport, she is playing a petty thief.
It's so different for her.
She teams up with a pickpocket to forge a passport and flee the country. Just the premise alone is so fun and subversive for its time. There is this specific scene noted in the archives where they trick a wealthy man into giving them his passport details, and it just perfectly showcases her sheer comedic timing, her cunning, and her undeniable resourcefulness on screen.
And the music. The soundtrack by Anil Biswas, specifically the hauntingly beautiful song Hum Bhi Ko Gaye, remains iconic to this day.
It's gorgeous.
What's truly fascinating about looking back at a film like Passport is analyzing the long-term trajectory of the talent involved. Madhubala, of course, went on to define an entire era of Indian cinema with Mughal Azam.
A true legend.
And the director, Pramod Chakravorty, went on to make massive, genre-defining hits like Love in Tokyo and Jewel Thief. It serves as a reminder that true longevity in this industry isn't built on a viral moment. It is built on foundational, undeniable craft.
Speaking of longevity built on craft, Anil Kapoor just gave an expansive interview reflecting on 4 decades in the industry. 4 decades.
And he looks like he hasn't aged a day.
And he's not resting on his laurels or slowing down. He's actively teasing his gritty new project, Subadar. You look at his motivation, his intense fitness regimen, his absolute refusal to be phased out by younger generations, and it is a literal masterclass in adapting to the tectonic plates we talked about earlier. He survives because he constantly reinvents himself.
True stars transcend their specific eras. They become part of the cultural architecture. We also have a fascinating academic study highlighted in the notes today, analyzing how historical film magazines and print media wrote about the legendary playback singers Lata Mangeshkar and Asha Bhosle throughout the decades.
Wait, an actual academic study on film magazine gossip. That is amazing. Walk me through what they found.
Yes, it offers a deeply nuanced look at their lasting impact, not just as vocalists, but as permanent media fixtures.
Okay.
The study argues that the way the print press consistently covered their perceived rivalries, their recording sessions, and their distinct personalities actually shaped their enduring presence in the cultural memory of Indian cinema.
So the media built the myth.
The media narrative cemented them. They weren't just disembodied voices on a cassette tape. The print PR apparatus made them into cultural pillars.
But building that kind of immortal legacy often requires channeling immense, very real personal pain. This is a beautiful, poignant revelation from the veteran actor Lilliput in our notes today.
This was a really touching story.
He revealed the true, deeply personal backstory behind the emotional core of the iconic Kamal Hassan film, Apurva Godahargal, which is widely known to Hindi audiences as Apu Raja.
That is the technical marvel where Kamal Hassan plays dual roles, including the dwarf character Apu.
Exactly. Lilliput revealed that the emotional core of that film, the specific, devastating heartbreak that the character Apu experiences regarding his height and his unrequited love, was actually directly based on Kamal Hassan, taking Lilliput's own real-life, deeply personal heartbreak and turning it into cinema. Lilliput was quoted saying, "He took my love story."
That is profound. A master filmmaker like Kamal Hassan taking a dear friend's real visceral pain, respecting it, and immortalizing it into high art that resonates with millions.
It's incredible.
It perfectly mirrors the modern struggles we discussed earlier, like Karan Johar dealing with the deep psychological pain of trolling. The best artists don't just survive the human cost of the industry, they take that pain and weave it directly back into the work.
And sometimes legacy isn't defined by pain at all. It is defined by moments of pure, unexpected, shocking grace.
Like the Akshay Kumar story.
Yes. We have a throwback in the notes to the infamous time Akshay Kumar completely stunned the entire Bollywood fraternity at a major award show. He won the highly coveted Best Actor trophy, walked up on stage, gave a speech, and then publicly rejected the award, dedicating it and literally handing it over to Amir Khan instead.
Because he genuinely believed Amir's performance in Kajini that year was fundamentally more deserving of the artistic recognition.
Just handed it over.
In an industry literally built on massive egos, PR machinery, and intense cutthroat competition for any kind of recognition, that selfless gesture is still discussed as a benchmark of class today.
It is such a stark, refreshing contrast to the toxic power dynamics and the Twitter outrage we were unpacking in the previous sections. But you also have to laugh at the wild duality of Akshay's career.
Oh, the Netflix video.
Right. One minute we were talking about his immense grace with a prestigious award, and the next, Netflix India is dropping a viral compilation video titled Akshay Kumar's Most Unhinged Comedy,
highlighting his incredibly chaotic, highly memeable roles in franchises like Boo Bulaya, OMG2, and Jolly LLB3.
He's done it all.
He plays a fake psychiatrist, a literal messenger of God, a corrupt lawyer, a devoted family man. The sheer volume and erratic variety of his work over 30 years is staggering.
It really is. And the lore, the behind-the-scenes mythology of Bollywood is just endlessly fascinating. Maverick director Ram Gopal Varma casually dropped a piece of trivia on social media this week that the specific Mumbai apartment where he shot that terrifying horror film Boot back in 2003 has been sitting completely vacant and unsold since 2002.
The urban legends practically write themselves. People actually believe the set is haunted because of the film's legacy.
They really do. The industry is just a continuous breathing tapestry of stories, both on and off the screen. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, instead of just reading down a list of what's releasing, let's look at the sheer, overwhelming volume of how this tapestry is expanding across different formats.
There's so much happening.
Look at how legacy stars are adapting today. We have Jackie Shroff officially announced to play a secret superhero in a film literally called The Great Grand Superhero.
I cannot wait to see what the costume design for Jackie Shroff as a superhero looks like.
Me neither.
And down south, you have established actor Jayasuriya taking a risk and leading composer Rathish Vega's directorial debut, an action thriller called Operation Trawl.
We also got a beautiful, highly polished teaser for Vishwanath and Sons, starring Sreeleela and Mamitha Baiju. It looks like a really heartwarming, slow burn, unlikely romance. Oh, and Shilpa Shetty absolutely owned the ramp at a major fashion event this week. The clips of her walk are going incredibly viral, proving that 90s glamour still holds massive currency.
And we even had a bizarre moment of cross-industry confusion where the popular rapper Raftar had to issue a formal public clarification that he has absolutely no connection whatsoever to the upcoming Raj Kumar Rao and Kirti Suresh movie that is also coincidentally titled Raftar.
The hazards of having a cool stage name. But if you want to understand the true relentless engine of the Indian entertainment industry, you have to look at the daily television landscape. The pacing is absolutely unhinged compared to cinema.
It's so fast.
Just this week, Nagin 7 is hitting peak supernatural melodrama with the character Dimple ending Tina's life, And Ahana kissing Aryaman.
Pure Balaji Telefilms magic. They know exactly how to hook an audience 5 nights a week. Meanwhile, on Jagadhatri, Shiva is stepping up to become her main source of emotional strength.
Ah,
On the legacy soap, Yarishta Kia Kalata Hai, Arman and Apira are dreaming of a happy family, though fans are terrified the writers will ruin it. On Saru, Anika literally forcefully removes Saru from college in a massive confrontation, and Apanksha Rajput has officially joined the cast of Sajangar to shake up the dynamics.
the daily soaps rely on these massive, high-emotion cliffhangers every single day. Contrast that rapid-fire pacing with the OTT streaming space. For those looking for something a bit darker and more methodical, the slow-burn psychological thriller Imperfect Women is making its digital debut this month.
It's a completely different storytelling muscle.
It really is. I want to remind you, the listener, that every single piece of media you choose to consume, whether it's discovering the 1961 classic Passport on a YouTube deep dive, spending your hard-earned money to hear Anirudh's booming score in AA23, or just tuning in to tonight's chaotic supernatural episode of Nigan 7 to decompress you, you are actively participating in a continuous breathing tapestry of Indian storytelling.
It's all connected.
Your choices matter. It's
Yeah.
all deeply connected.
As we see the undeniable rise of the long-tail box office where indie films win BAFTAs, and as audiences demand strict accountability and visual sanctity in real time on social media, consider this final thought. The golden era of the untouchable, bulletproof star sitting at the peak of the mountain might be permanently fading.
Wow.
It is being replaced by an era where you, the audience, are the ultimate co-director. You are actively shaping the industry's morals, determining its financial successes, and cementing its legacies with every single ticket you buy, every show you stream, and every tweet you send. The power is in the tail.
It really makes you look at that shifting mountain entirely differently, doesn't it? The tectonic plates are in our hands now. From headlines to heartbeats, you've been listening to Bollywood Deep Dive by IndiaRevue.com. Catch you where the stories are.